As we head into week 3 of San Diego high school football season, we welcome you into another edition. Christian Pedersen, Tommy Morris, Noah Laxina, Colton Toll, and Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live are all here. It's a full house. This is the first time the full crew has been together this season. It is nice to have everybody here. We're back to a normal show, if you will. The way this is going to work is we will start with Bodie De Silva's top 10 and then everyone's reaction to it. I think that it is going to keep changing every week, it seems, or it's going to be Cathedral or Carlsbad and then the field. We'll talk about some game balls, shout outs from the last week. I've got a couple of hot questions I want to get to, and then we'll also have game predictions. So first, though, let's start with Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live. He has his top 10. If you want to find anything and everything high school sports related, that is game scores, live game broadcasts, articles, lists, polls, anything you want to do, SB Live Sports app or scorebooklive.com. And then just click onto the California page because who cares about we don't even care about the rest of the other sections in California. We just really care about Bodie and his stuff. So Bodie, give us your top 10, and then I want to get reaction from the room as we go through Bodie's top 10. Maybe we'll give a thumbs up or thumbs down if we agree with Bodie's position on that team, and then anyone can jump in after that with theirs. Bodie?
Yeah, number 1 is Carlsbad. I had them there preseason. They helped me out last week and won in double overtime. Tough game there. I know they're missing a couple of guys now, but Mater Dei's had some injuries too. So number 2, Cathedral Catholic. The schedule only gets tougher as you go on. They're going to face another huge challenge in Chandler this week and De La Salle in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be tough to weigh what you think of them, because if they're 1-3 or 2-4, can they still be up in that top group? We'll see. If that point comes, deal with it then. Number 3, Madison. They've been super impressive, 2 dominant wins so far. I think they're a team that, and maybe I was even low on them to start the year, but I think they're a contender with just about anyone in the county. Number 4, Helix, another team that's been super impressive. I didn't have in the top 5 to start, but they got to be in there now. 52-0 against Otay Ranch last week, and they are rolling on both sides of the ball. Mater Dei Catholic moves down to number 5 for me. They're 0-2, but their 2 losses are to 1-2, and obviously the Carlsbad one came in double overtime. They do need to grab a win, though. It starts this week. They're going to play Red Mountain from Arizona in the Honor Bowl. Number 6 there is Lincoln. A little bit surprising. They weren't able to score offensively, losing 14-7 at Bishop Alemany in LA last week, and they're going to get another Southern Section team, St. Bonaventure, this week that can really put some points up. So another challenging one for Lincoln. Mission Hills at number 7. They played Lawndale last week and handled them, controlled throughout the game there. And they're going to go up to Palmdale to play Highland on this Friday. Poway there at number 8. They've been kind of my sleeper coming into the year. I think this is a really good Poway team. Offensively, they haven't done a ton. They won 14-6 at Eastlake last week, but they held Eastlake to just 82 yards. So that's a huge statement they made. And they're going to host number 9 Ramona this week. Ramona's been a team that I didn't have really on my radar, maybe the next 5 out to start the year. But everything they've done, they beat Christian 28-0. They beat RB 34-6. And now they're going to get a big test. They'll head down the mountain and play nearby Poway on Friday. That's a really good game. Then coming in at number 10, El Camino. They're 2-0. They haven't played a really challenging schedule so far, but that changes this Friday. They're going to play Pinnacle from Arizona, and Pinnacle's got the number 1 tight end in the country, Deuce Robinson, who is unbelievable. I saw him this summer at the Elite 11, and then tackle Elijah Page going to Notre Dame. So El Camino's got their work cut out starting this Friday, and that's the top 10.
Reaction from the room. Anybody want to share their top 10 specifically, or have teams that they had maybe a significantly difference ranked? Tommy, we'll start with you.
No, I mean, I think that all sounds pretty much right on par. I just kind of want to, we said it a bunch of times, like all these schools from Southern Section coming down to play us, or we're going up there. It's kind of exciting to get to see that before the playoffs. Unfortunately, we're going to miss one this week with Saints. There was a quarterback injury there, which may have led to them not being able to score offensively. I don't know the depth of the injury or what went on there, because again, it was an out of city game. But I like Bodie's rankings right now, and kind of what I said last week, 6 through 15 is very much like could be anybody by the end of the year. I think, I think Bodie's got his work cut out in the top 10. That's all I'm going to say, because I think it's going to change dramatically every single week.
Yeah, I'm glad that we no longer post a consensus prep insider top 10. I'm done with that BS as every
I miss it.
season goes. You want to go back to it?
No. Well, yeah. Well, maybe.
Well, you let me know by week 5 when the CIF power rankings come out. If you want to do ours versus the CIF power rankings, I'm fine with that. Noah or Colton, anything you guys want to add to the top 10 before we move on?
I think definitely going to be exciting to see Ramona. Only do they play Poway this week, but then the next week they play Madison. So I think they're very deserving of their ranking right now, but it's going to be a tough 2 weeks for them. And hopefully they can hold on enough to prove that they're still one of those quality teams. But I love how physical they are. I love how imposing they are. And it's going to be interesting to see how Poway and Madison react to getting hit in the mouth like that, because those boys can hit.
I had a Central in mind. That was my only difference. I really like Central this year. They have 2 pretty well-deserved wins, not really close wins at that. So I had them sneaking in over Ramona in my top 10. But other than that, Bodie's list pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, Central's a good call. I had them as my first team out, so they're definitely making noise. And I think between them and Brawley, there's some really good teams out in the desert this year. So hopefully they can make some noise come playoffs.
For sure.
I'd say no doubt this could be one of the best years in recent memory for the Valley and the inland area in general. Calexico also seems to be really good this year because they beat Palo Verde in week 1, and we all have Palo Verde pegged to be really good. And then they get a big fourth quarter stop to get a win last week to go to 2-0. Central was the team, Colton, that I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to at least close out with that. Guys, as we move on, let's go to Game Balls. This is the segment where we shout out players, plays, top awards from the last week. You can also check out our other awards, the statement of the week, the underdog of the week, all that kind of stuff on all of our social. Let's talk Game Balls right now. Colton Toll, Noah Lax, Bodie De Silva. Anybody want to start with their Game Balls?
I'll go ahead and start. First, definitely want to give a game ball to San Isidro's AJ Logan. He's a freshman. He had about 180 all-purpose yards. He had a punt return for a touchdown, a catch for a touchdown, and I think that just shows you that if he sticks it out over there at San Isidro, that's going to be a program that might be on the rise in the lower divisions. So shout out to him. I also want to give a game ball to Del Norte's Ty Olson. Almost 200 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns and a huge win that went into it was a big win that usually, last year Del Norte was a school that lost a lot of close games and games got away from them. So for him to put the team on his back there and really carry that team to a win, big game ball deserving to him. Also a game ball to Mount Carmel. Drew V, 8 catches for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they had a huge win as well. And anytime you get that many receptions in a high school game, I think it shows the consistency and they really depend on him there. So shout out to Drew. And then Cesar Huera from Suhai, 22 total tackles and a block punt. Dang, 22 tackles. That's a lot. He was flying all over the football field. He's a downhill, very physical defender for Suhai. And big shout out to Sweetwater on getting that super close win against Coronado. So those are my game balls for the week.
Can I just mention something just about on Noah's behalf? How I know he's maturing and becoming a man. He went with Drew. He didn't even try that last name. That's how you go ahead and punt that one. That's okay. That's
I'm for the
don't
people.
Get it wrong.
I'm for the people.
We're just get with names. You got to get it right. Exactly. Everyone knows who you're talking about, but that is the correct move. You got to know when to punt sometimes. That was a good punt.
Speaking of punt, Tommy, the special teams coordinator and specialist of the team here at Prep Insider, you want to take it away with your game balls?
Sure. Mine are all guys who did some damage on the ground. I'm going to try and do some themes with mine as the year goes on. Let's see how long I deal with this. I might give up after 1 week. We'll see where we go. We're going to start with Life Pollard. Great name, Life Pollard from Classical Academy. Had 5 carries, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Very efficient there. I would say 5 carries for 134. Talking about the UC Del Norte game, how about LaDainian Lawrence? I think maybe one of the most underrated players in San Diego for UC. 10 carries, 160 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I should mention as well. Sam Brunson from Army Academy. This one kind of takes a cake. 3 carries, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns for that. So that's, I mean, pretty much don't really need one play over at our yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground.
We'll have Tommy hit us again with that last name. We caught the Army Navy kid, but we did not get the name for that final game ball.
Zeus Pratis, Calexico, 271 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Like we mentioned Calexico earlier.
I like the efficiency. I love it.
Sneaky good this year.
The 3 touches for 3 touchdowns has to be a pretty good feeling. Colton Toll, your game balls.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, about 126 yards.
Deal.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have a guy pretty under the radar running back. RBV's Gino Trapasso had over 260 yards last week, 4 touchdowns against Moores. A guy that can just flat out run the ball. A lot of great running backs in the county. He doesn't always get talked about enough. Helix's Jackson Daniels had 3 interceptions in 1 half. To have 3 in a game is already insane, but he did that in the first half alone. That's just an insane stat. One of those he took back to the crib for 6. So obviously going to get done on the defensive side of the ball. Keeping on with the defense, Carlsbad, Thomas McCormick, middle linebacker for Carlsbad. 16.5 total tackles. He had 4 of those for loss, 2 pass breakups. He had a forced fumble. He had a fumble recovery, and he had a sack. That's just filling up the T sheet any way you can. And finally, Morris's wide receiver, Alante Logan, 4 catches, 140 yards. That's about 35 yards per reception. So obviously, big deep threat over there, and he had a score as well in that game.
Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live closes out on game balls.
Yeah, I'll start it out. Aaron Carter, great name there. Mount Miguel linebacker, 9 tackles, 3 sacks.
Oh, nice. Throwback.
In their win over Chula Vista. Charlie Gooding, La Jolla Country Day, 2-way player there. 7 catches, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he returned 1 of them for a touchdown. And then Makai Thompson from Mira Mesa, 207 total yards and 2 touchdowns in their big win over San Marcos.
Appreciate that, Bodie. Like we said, follow him at SD Preps, or the Scorebook Live account is SB Live CA, or download the SB Live Sports app. Visit scorebooklive.com. Bodie, I'm sure you got a ton of great articles and polls and everything coming out this week, so make sure you're checking in with everything he's doing. Before we get to our game preview segment, guys, I wanted to toss a question or 2 out there. The first one I got is football, and sometimes a bad bounce, a tough opponent, a weird league, non-league, like you can have some teams right now that are 0-2 around the county. And I wanted to maybe gauge the temperature of the room on how you guys feel about each one of these teams. The first one being Modern Day Catholic at 0-2. Panic time or no, somewhere in the middle. Like I still think that this is, like Bodie said, like a top 5-ish type team. So I'm not saying panic, right? Is the room
very good team. Very good team. Challenging schedule. It happens. They will be fine.
Nobody in major disagreement on that?
Yeah, I agree with them. I mean, I think the biggest thing they need to look at is their league. They've run away with the last couple of years. It's not a great strength of schedule there. So these upcoming games, Red Mountain this week, Lincoln a week later, we'll see Saints after that. And then Central's going to turn into actually being a really competitive game there. They need to get a bunch of those because they need these non-league games if they're going to make a run towards the Open Division.
Next team is Mar Vista at 0-2. They have faced some of the tougher, if not toughest, in-division opponents in Crawford. Like Crawford was week 1. That was a great potential preview match of a finals. Time to stress and panic for Mar Vista, just part of the growing pains.
I think it's part of the growing pains. We talked about their quarterback, Alexander W. I'm going to pull a no. I'm not going to try to say his last name. Difficult.
I think sorry.
He had an absolutely insane junior year. I think they got a great little team over there. I don't think it's time to panic yet. It's still only 2 games into the season.
Scripps Ranch, they've had to change.
It looks like their strength, they are remaining on their schedule besides Modern Day. The remaining teams have pretty tough opponents down the stretch. It's just going to be, yeah, you had these growing pains, but if you better learn something from those things because you're going to be playing some tough opponents down the stretch for sure.
Scripps Ranch has had to transition into a new quarterback. We missed you, Jack. We wish you well in terms of your recovery. They're 0-2 right now. Panic time or not? Because we talked about how Jax was getting greeted with a new batch of skill position players. They look good. They have the pieces. I think that this isn't time to panic still, even at 0-2 and having a new quarterback. Bodie, agree?
Yeah,
disagree?
yeah. I don't think panic time. I just think maybe you readjust expectations and how you want to go about it, because you had this senior quarterback coming back with a lot less than what you ran with last year. Maybe it's a time to let some guys for the future start playing, but also want to be competitive and get a spot in the Division I playoffs this year. And the schedule, obviously that Western League one, now that they've moved up, is going to be really tough at the end. They end with at Lincoln, at Madison, home against Cathedral. Those are incredibly tough. But these next few weeks, Patrick Henry, Mount Carmel, Mira Mesa, Canyon Hills, just work on 1-0, get some new guys in, get some guys some time that looking towards next year, whether they're still in the Western, they can kind of build off of that.
Final team I want to ask, and then we'll get to the game previews, is Rancho Bernardo at 0-2. San Marcos looks like they might be one of the breakout offenses, and Ramona looks like they might be really good. So it's still hard to take the temperature on this, but there was maybe a little bit more excitement about RB and their team this year than necessarily 0-2 would reflect.
Yeah, I definitely have some questions there of what they'll be, and the schedule doesn't get much easier this week. I know Torrey Pines is 0-2. Those are both the Southern Section teams, which is different than what RB's played. But after this, road games, 3 in a row, Grossmont, Del Norte, Westview. So they've got to find a way to one, improve the offense, but two, the defense just can't be giving up 30s, 40s, 50s every week, because you're just not going to be able to string together more than 1 or 2 wins if you're doing that.
All right, let's head on to game predictions. Our first one, Poway, Ramona. This one is 2 top 10 teams, according to almost everybody's voting. Poway and Ramona, 2 teams that run the ball physically and heavily, have great defenses, seem to be really maybe the complete packages. Let's start with you, Tommy Morris. Poway, Ramona, what do you got?
Yeah, Ramona with a good week last week, 3 interceptions on defense. Poway, Connor Rath, 166 yards and 2 touchdowns last week on the ground. This is going to be, like you said, a very good game. I think low scoring, just based off the way that I think both these teams will play the game, because I don't think there'll be a lot of possessions. I like Poway by 1 score.
Noah.
I'm going to go with Ramona this week. I think Poway is, probably going to be the more favored team this week. I'm going to go with Ramona. I think they're going to pull it off. I think they're trending in the right direction. And I think those first 2 weeks, even though they were very dominant wins, I think they looked at the film and thought, hey, we could be a lot better. And I think they're going to show it this week against Poway. They're going to come out on top.
Colton.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Noah, actually. I really like what Ramona has with Aslan Enriquez, as well as Ryan Dutra over there on the offense. I think they're going to pull out the win. I think it's going to be very close, like a 24-21 game.
Bodie De Silva.
Yeah, I could go either way. I was waiting to hear how everyone else went. And now knowing that only Poway has 1 pick, I got to go with Poway here. So
Yeah.
Poway at home, but I think really close game. If Ramona goes and wins, it would not shock me. They've made a statement, but I do like Poway a lot this year.
Up in the North County, again, we got Del Norte. Up in Escondido, we got Del Norte and San Pasqual. This one, 2 teams that have had fireworks both of their first 2 weeks, and maybe this could be a statement game early in the season, a winner-take-all game. I don't know, maybe we have to also have everybody, in addition to your pick, put a title with what you think this game equates to. But it seems like this one, a winner of this one at 3-0 really becomes a team to beat in San Diego. Bodie De Silva.
Doesn't this game have a name? Does this game have a name? Is it one of those rivalry name games? No, it's not. No, I don't know why I thought that. Never mind.
Yeah, 2 offenses that have really cruised so far. I'm going to side with Del Norte. They've been really impressive, but I think San Pasqual having this game at home, I think they're going to keep this one really close. So these are 2 teams that are creeping up in that kind of, as Tommy said, 15 range. And in a couple of weeks, it wouldn't surprise me to see either of them break into the top 10.
Colton.
Yeah, Del Norte scored 89 points in 2 weeks. San Pasqual scored 94. San Pasqual can run the ball. They're averaging over 300 rushing yards per game. Teams that rush the ball, control the ball. I'm going to go with San Pasqual.
Noah.
That was a bar. I'm going to go with Del Norte. I think last week they proved that it's not the same story as last year, losing a lot of times it would be in the game and then it would kind of fall away from them. But, this team has some fight. I think they're going to, in the contrast of offenses, I think Del Norte is going to do a better job spreading the ball out and maybe jump out to an early lead to where San Pasqual can't really get that offense going. I'm going to go Del Norte.
Noah, you're absolutely right. This is a scary team if you look at the recent sample size of Del Norte, but then add in the clutch factor and their ability to win out in tight situations. Tommy, your thoughts?
I will name this game Light Fight because it's two birds in a game against each other.
Fight.
I think that works. Something like that. Whatever. I'll workshop that. Anyway, Del Norte, as we mentioned, Jack Schneider, over 400 all-purpose yards, 5 passing touchdowns last week against University City. Noah already mentioned Ty Olson's 199 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns, so I don't need to mention it again, but I just did. San Pasqual is dangerous on the ground. I do like Del Norte in this one. I think it will be a close one, but I think a huge bonus going Del Norte's way after a unbelievably close game last week against UC. There was also I love this move, by the way, going for 2, down by 1. There was a phantom pass interference, gets called back, then they have to kick the field goal, then they have to go into overtime to win it. There was a lot of moments where they could have quit, and they did not. Also, they had to, again, score late in the game. I think there was barely any time left when they scored the game-tying touchdown. So I like Del Norte after what they did last week. Really gave me some confidence in them.
San Diego squares off with Mission Bay. We've already talked a ton about Mission Bay, but I really want to get in early on. If they're scoring big every single week and have moved up a division, that this could be like a back-to-back finals appearance type team. San Diego looks like though they could be a tough challenge for them. So let's start with you, Tommy Morris.
And San Diego was the original high school at climbing divisions and winning championships. So I guess maybe this is where this goes. San Diego, Casey Cotter-Smith, 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns last week against Westview. I was very pleasantly surprised about how well San Diego played in that game. Eric Walker, 160 all-purpose yards, and I believe he had a pair of touchdowns as well. On the Mission Bay side, we got Mission Bay's Jacob Morgan, 3 tackles for loss last week. Hatan Nguyen plays both ways. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. So did Ethan Siebler, their quarterback, 2 rushing touchdowns. So I like Mission Bay in this one. I think it'll be super close, and I think it'll be lower scoring than we think, but I like Mission Bay in this one.
Ooh, the phantom low scoring one. Noah Lax, your thoughts on Mission Bay San Diego?
I mean, I think Mission Bay is going to pull it out. I think San Diego is going to, control the clock. I think this is a team where 2 schools, they get after it and they're going to get physical with each other. So if you want to go see a hard-hitting football game on Friday night, this is going to be a good place to go. I'm going to go with Mission Bay, though.
Colton Toll.
San Diego's had a tough schedule to start the year. They've had 3 straight road games, including a 1-point loss at Vincent Memorial. Responded great last week of the win against Westview. Jacob Sloan's done his thing for Mission Bay this year. I'll go with San Diego. Why not? I think they control the ball a little more, but Mission Bay does have that aspect where they could air it out and get a little late run going late in the game. But I'll go with San Diego.
Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live, your thoughts on Mission Bay San Diego?
Yeah, it's Mission Bay for me here. I think offensively they've just got too much ground, and through the air they will get it done.
Our last game to talk about is a battle of 2-0 small schools. La Jolla Country Day Classical Academy. They are featured in all of the game balls. They're very productive this year, and this one is going to be another one of those games where winner take all in terms of becoming a team to beat. So let's start with La Jolla Country Day's winning it or highest point scorer in JV basketball history. Tommy Morris, your thoughts on your alma mater taking on Classical Academy?
You want to talk about points? Well, Classical Academy this year in 2 games is winning the total season score 108-0 versus their opponents. So they've had 2 very, very, very big wins with.
Let's put that on the poll.
Shutouts. That's a lot.
On Twitter, on Instagram is being points for and against 108-0 through 2 weeks. Pretty good.
Pretty good. Hard to beat that. Anyway, however, Basil Pizio, the quarterback for Country Day last year in this game, threw for 327 yards and 5 touchdowns. So I think this will be a new challenge for Classical this season. I like La Jolla Country Day in this one by a couple of scores, but it will be a good game. I think it'll be closer than last year's matchup, but I like Country Day.
Colton Toll.
Yeah, like we mentioned, the Classical Academy, winning the games they're supposed to win. Country Day is producing with that offense with Sulpizio and Charlie Gooding at receiver. One of the better duos in the county, I'd say. I think it's just going to be a lot of firepower for Classical. I'm going to go Country Day as well.
Noah Lax.
There's an old saying that, everything's good when things are going well, but when you get hit in the mouth, how do you respond? And I feel like Country Day has been doing good at reacting to when bad things happen. They're able to keep it going, and I think they're going to air it out versus Classical Academy. Classical Academy hasn't really had that tough matchup yet. They never really felt that, wow, we need to really step up this week, and I think Country Day is going to pull it out.
Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live, close this out.
Yeah, it's La Jolla Country Day for me. I think having been tested in some closer games early on, them getting to play at home, that'll be the difference here on Thursday night this week.
Yeah, a ton of Thursday games.
Yeah.
A huge influx of Thursday games. So make sure you go check out Scorebook Live or just go to the CIF website. They got a nice little Scorebook Live widget that's got all the games for you. Accurate finally this season. Really, it is much appreciated that those games are finally correctly updated, Bodie. The Scorebook Live people are killing it this year.
The only website in the world that does high school sports, by the way, Scorebook Live. There's no other website that I've seen. So
there's none. All of there are heresy.
Nope.
Fake
Better.
Better. The rosters will get there eventually. But yeah, no, anything we missed from around this week in San Diego high school sports that you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention is, and Tommy talked about all the out-of-section, out-of-state teams coming in, but if you're a fan and want to see some high-level talent, the amount of 5-stars that are coming into town this week, Nico Ayamalieva from up in Warren headed to Tennessee. They're coming down to play Grossmont. Dylan Rayola, who's the 5-stars #1 unanimous recruit in the junior class, is coming out. They'll play Cathedral on Friday night. I mentioned Deuce Robinson's coming out here. Kennedy Urlacher, Brian Urlacher's son, he's on that Chandler team. Jackson Bowers, a tight end from Arizona, they're taking on Helix. So there are guys all over to come see. And I will put out a list later today or early tomorrow of all the top out-of-section guys to check out this week, because it's a really impressive list.
I'll do a plug.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Thursday games. If you have any inkling to want to be a referee or official for high school sports, go ahead and do it, because the football side of the officiating crew needs you. So this would be a good time to do it.
Well, can we take 2 minutes and talk about that? Because I am curious what everybody's thoughts are. I feel like there has not been an adequate amount of reaching out on behalf of anybody. Like, I have no idea just off the top of my head how to become a San Diego high school referee.
Oh, yeah,
that's something that I had to figure out how to search, and I don't get why they're not, I'm not gonna say why they're not advertising with us more often, but I don't get why there's not
Yeah, if you give us some money, maybe we'll mention it.
But I don't know, man, it just feels like I'm not hearing anybody bring forth any actual solutions, just complaints. I'm yet to meet of or hear of any whispered rumor of if you talk to person so-and-so, they're the one trying to revive the referees. Bodie, you kind of nod along. Have you heard anything about how this is going to potentially get fixed, or what we can actually, how can people go sign up?
Yeah, so the only time I've heard have been some ads that they've had the PA announcers do at some games I've been to this year. But outside of that, I believe it's just them directing you to their website. So what is it? San Diego SDCFOA, maybe San Diego County Football Officials Association.
SDCFOA on Twitter. I just found that. So then you click on their link.
Yeah, and I believe it's 18 and up. So there's some options there if you're not playing, if you're not coaching, if you want to still be around. So they definitely need you. So
all right, I'll tell you this. We'll put this on our Twitter and our Instagram and everything about how to try and sign up for this. But Bodie, maybe you can also figure out a person, write an article, do some impassioned journalism.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about, because it's not just a San Diego County issue. It's statewide, it's region wide. I mean, it's all over. So
have you heard it? I have not heard.
You should do like a day in the life of an official story.
Following him at his regular job from
No, I mean, once he gets to the field, you know what I mean? And when he goes through every game.
Yeah.
Or or it would be pretty funny to like fall into the normal job too, but maybe I don't know.
At his cubicle.
Yeah.
Holy.
All right, well, we're putting that on our social. And yes, Tommy, I like that idea. Let's have just the visual of Bodie just following him around with his little camera for a whole day.
We got to find someone with a very mundane job. That'll just be incredible.
All right, well, we're putting that out there. I haven't heard of anything being like money shortages. From my understanding, this is entirely just a people shortage, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. And I think that it's happening in other sports, but other sports don't have their religious dedication to games only happening on one day historically.
And not needing 5 or 6 people involved at one. I mean, basketball, it's really 2 until the playoffs, and baseball, it's 2 until the playoffs. It's a smaller group they're working from.
Well, and stuff
And it's the same day.
Yeah.
You need them all at the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is happening kind of across the board with other sports. I think there's just a lack of understanding of how to become one. It's a decent side hustle. I would advocate for anybody interested in, if you like sports, you are above the age of 18 and looking to make a couple $100 extra bucks a week, please do this. This would be great to help out. So yeah, we'll tag them on Twitter. We'll see if they engage with us, and maybe we can actually find a guest next week. If not, I will say that is everything that I had. So guys, until next week, we will say we'll see you soon, sports fans, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.